Mr. Trump, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
So 13 days to go. How do you pull this out?
Well, I think we're doing very well. The new polls just came out. We're leading in Florida. If you look at the lines and all of the people standing on lines in the state of Florida, it's incredible. I just had last night, as you know, I was in Tallahassee. We had 25,000 people. We had 16,000 people the night before. We're having, I mean, if I have a crowd less than 15,000 people, it's considered a small crowd. There's never been anything like that. Now, after this, I'm going to North Carolina, where we're also doing very well. The polls are indicating that we're leading in Florida, we're leading in North Carolina, we're leading in Ohio.
Well, there's a new Bloomberg poll out in Florida that shows you had. That is absolutely true. But almost every poll, public poll, in Florida and North Carolina taken since the first debate shows her ahead.
Yeah, but all of the most recent ones, and if you look at the enthusiasm on the lines, what they're now talking about are the lines, because you have early voting in Florida, and the enthusiasm on the lines is unbelievable.
So you're not fighting from behind?
George, I think I'm going to win. I mean, what can I tell you? I think I'm going to win. I really believe that we've gotten a very unfair narrative from the press. I feel the press is very dishonest. I know the press is very dishonest. And I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win Florida. I think we're going to win Ohio. You know, it used to be if you win Florida, you win Ohio, you win. We're going to win North Carolina. We're going to win a lot of states.
Got to win all three of those.
Yeah, I think I will. I think I will.
And what do you say?
And I think we'll win a lot more than that. We just got great numbers on Wisconsin, as an example. I think we're going to win a lot more than that.
I did the first interview of this campaign on the first day Trump
You
cowered.
did.
We did.
That's
We're
right.
here in a Trump hotel today.
Right.
But what do you say to supporters of yours who think you shouldn't be taking time off the campaign trail from the battleground states?
Well, I think it's so unfair because, you know, Hillary Clinton goes to see an Adele concert last night, and everybody says, oh, wasn't that nice? Isn't that wonderful? I did 8 stops yesterday, 3 major rallies where, you know, where I told you 25 and 15 and 20, and it's thousands of people. I did 3 plus many other stops. I came here, and let me just tell you what this is about. Under budget, ahead of schedule. I built one of the great hotels of the world. What am I supposed to do, not show up? I'm taking 1 hour off. I'm going to North Carolina right after this. Then I'm going back down to Florida. I'm going up to New Hampshire. I'm all over the place. But I can't take 1 hour off to cut a ribbon at one of the great hotels of the world. I mean, I think I'm entitled to it. She does 1 stop because she has no energy. She's got nothing going. She does 1 stop, and nobody complains about that. Nobody complains when she goes to an Adele concert all night long while I'm making 2 speeches at rallies with, you know, massive crowds. I come here, and it's true. There's a narrative. You have it, and a couple of the other haters have it. Donald Trump is stopping. I mean, I spent $200 million building a hotel, but you know why I really wanted this? And I love the fact that it just opened just before, because I built this hotel under budget and ahead of schedule. Now, that's why I'm doing this. That's one of the, I think I'd be here anyway.
It sends a message. Front page of the
No, it sends, you know what it does? It sends a real message, George, because we have road projects and tunnels and all the things we're doing end up costing 3-4 times what they were supposed to cost, and they never get finished.
Front page of the Washington Post today says you're not going to have any more fundraisers this campaign. She is definitely going to outspend you in the home stretch. To avoid that, are you willing to write a check to your campaign?
Yeah, I am. I mean, look, I'm going to be in for over $100 million.
Only $56 million so far.
Well, no, it's 61, but I'm spending a lot of money, and that doesn't include everything. I'm spending a lot of money. Hey, look, she's spending nothing. She ripped off the country for $250 million. She has no money invested in her campaign, 0. In fact, I asked her at one of the debates, I said, why aren't you putting up 10 or 20 or 15 or something $million? And she didn't respond.
How much more are you going to put up between now and Election Day?
I would say a lot. I'm not going to say what, but I will be over $100 million, and it could be much more than that.
You've talked a lot about the fact that you think this election could be rigged. I want to go back to 2012. You sent out a tweet.
I think the system is rigged.
Election night 2012. This election is a total sham and a travesty. We are not a democracy. How was the 2012 election
Because
rigged?
I look at the way the media treats the Republicans and conservatives, and I see the way it's so skewed. If things are good, like this morning, I watched one of the networks. They were devastated when the Bloomberg poll came out that said I was leading. They were devastated when they went down and they interviewed the people on the lines waiting to vote yesterday. And they were like devastated because they couldn't find anybody in Florida. They couldn't find anybody wanting to vote for Hillary. Look, it's so skewed. The media is part of the problem.
But you called the whole election a sham and a travesty.
Oh, well, I think it was horrible the way they were treated in the media. The only thing worse is the way I'm being treated. Look, I'm being treated. Hey, it's record-setting bad treatment, what I'm getting. It's the greatest pile-on in American history. I think beyond politics, the greatest pile-on, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. Because you know what? The people get it. The people understand what's going on, George. They really get it. I go to these rallies, and they're starting to hate the media because they see it's all a big lie. And not all, but a lot of it's a big lie. Now, at the same time, you have some wonderful...
like $1 billion in free media during the primaries.
Well, I don't know if you call it $1 billion in free when it's bad. I mean, they give me... I do things that are good. For instance, I open up a hotel. I employed thousands of people building it and operating. And they're all saying, why is he off the trail? Now, everybody's been saying that I have more energy than anybody they've ever seen, and you might have to say that. Nobody's ever done so many stuff. I start at 7 in the morning, I get home at 1 in the morning, and then I get up and do another speech at 8. And in the meantime, she's sleeping all day long. Look, she does 1 or 2 events. I do 8. Then I come to Washington, D.C., I cut a ribbon, and on the thing it's, why is Donald off the trail? I mean, I've done so much more than her, and I can't take time out. But I'm off it because of under budget, ahead of schedule. Now, I will say this. That's a very unfair statement. What should really be, they should be talking about WikiLeaks and the horrible things that have come out about Hillary Clinton, the horrible things. They should talk about the FBI getting paid the head investigator getting paid $675,000, the wife, for campaign contribution, essentially from her best friend. You know that better than anybody. And she's under investigation, and this is the man that's the head of the investigation, and the wife is getting paid $675,000.
Right, she was contributions to her campaign.
Oh, that's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. Nobody's ever seen anything
Let's stick
like
on this election idea.
And George, she's so guilty. She deleted 33,000 emails. They're missing boxes of emails. She's so guilty. How can she even run? You have to see, there's such anger in this country. And the anger is about that, but there's such anger in this country over what she got away with.
The FBI director, appointed by Republicans, said no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case.
Well, he made a mistake, okay, or whatever. I don't even call it a mistake. I think something happened. Look, something happened. You go into the well, I think somebody talked to him. I think, hey, look, how can President Clinton, when
so you're
the Attorney General
of the FBI
says
is
something going on, George. She's so guilty. Congress sends a subpoena. She deletes all of her emails, okay? She deletes them. Now, there are other things also, many other things. But just take that one. Don't even talk about anything else. There are many, many other things. Missing boxes of emails, deleting emails after they send her. Now, who's more important in terms of getting a subpoena than the United States Congress? She deletes 33,000 emails and gets away with it. And yet General Cartwright could go to jail George, General Cartwright, 4-star general, could go to jail. Think of this, for 5 years.
You've made the point that you think...
And Petraeus, his life has been destroyed.
You've made the point that you think she's guilty. But if she does, I know you think...
No, I don't think she's guilty. I know she's guilty.
If she wins, I know you think you're going to win, but if she wins, if she gets the kind of win that President Obama got, more than 300 electoral votes, several million in the popular vote, will you accept that as a clear result?
I'll make that decision at the right time. I mean, don't worry about it. I'll make the decision at the right time. But we have a rigged system. And I'll tell you how the system's rigged. It's rigged by the media because it's totally unfair and biased. It's rigged by the media, and it's rigged when you see somebody running for office who shouldn't be allowed to run for office. Hillary Clinton deleted 33,000 emails. Do you know what was on those emails? And she said they were for the wedding and her spa, okay? Yoga classes. 33,000 emails. I would tell you what was on those emails was horrendous. Look at what's coming out with WikiLeaks. Look at what they're saying, where Podesta says that Hillary Clinton, running for president, has bad instincts. First of all, he should be fired if for no other reason. He's very disrespectful to her. He says a lot of bad things about her. But he said she's got bad instincts. Bernie Sanders says she's got bad judgment. So if Podesta says bad instincts, Sanders says bad judgment, why are people even thinking about
all 17 U.S. intelligence agencies believe the Russians are behind that leak. Why don't you believe it?
I don't know if they're behind it, and I think it's public relations, frankly. You know what does bother me? I have nothing to do with
But you were even told that by the Republican head of the Homeland Security Committee, Mike McCall.
Something.
He said the same thing.
I don't know what he said.
He told you that he thought the Russians were behind it.
Hacking is very interesting. Hacking is very hard to determine who did what. Okay, you know that. People are hacking all over the place. Nobody knows. They don't know if it's Russia. They can't guarantee it's Russia. And it may be. I mean, it may be Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. She likes to put the narrative about Donald Trump with Russia. I have nothing to do with Russia. I don't know money. I don't have deals in Russia. I don't know Putin.
But why not accept our intelligence agency's conclusion?
Well, I haven't seen the conclusion. But you know what? Hacking, I understand. And it's very hard to determine who's doing the hacking. What I have seen, though, is I have seen WikiLeaks. And where they came from, I don't know. But they're real. And they're not even being denied. And the disrespect those people have, and the dishonesty, too, by the way, the dishonesty. I mean, the one that came out yesterday about, the server and going to President Obama, so therefore he knew about it. That brings him into the picture, which he didn't want to be brought into that picture. But her emails going to him, and he understands, and these are supposed to be classified emails. The whole thing, I'll tell you what, the whole thing is a scam, and it's horrible.
You want a special prosecutor to investigate Hillary Clinton, so now President Obama should be investigated as well? That's what you said yesterday.
No, but President Obama made the statement that he didn't know anything about it, but in the meantime, he's getting emails. So it proved that he did know about it.
You said yesterday she should be investigated.
Who should be investigated?
The president.
Let them do whatever they want. Look, he knew. He lied. He certainly lied because he knew the emails because they were sent to him.
Let's talk about Mosul.
And that was a big deal yesterday. I mean, you do agree that was a big deal yesterday.
It was news yesterday.
It was news. It was news.
Let's talk about Mosul. On Sunday, you sent out a tweet saying that the operation was a total disaster. The defense secretary is on the ground. He says they're making progress. He's encouraged by the progress. The former dean of the Army War College says this shows that Trump doesn't know a damn thing about military strategy.
The Army War College, let me tell you, the element of surprise. I've been hearing about Mosul now for 3 months. We're going to attack, meaning Iraq's going to attack, but with us, okay? We're going to attack. Why do they have to talk about it? Why can't they keep it quiet and attack? Now, as you know, the attack is being met with great, resistance because they were totally prepared, because the politicians are all talking about it, because Obama's talking about it. Don't talk about it. Element of surprise. General George Patton. You look at General George Patton, you look at MacArthur, you look at these great generals, and I say it all the time, they're spinning in their grave. Mosul, number one, we shouldn't have even had to do it, because when we got out, we had Mosul. Now we have to take it a second time. We had Mosul. We have to take it because Hillary Clinton and Obama left that big vacuum, and ISIS went in and they took Mosul.
She says you're declaring defeat before the battle is over.
Let me finish with Mosul. Element of surprise. One of the reasons they wanted Mosul, they wanted to get the ISIS leaders who they thought were in Mosul. Those people have all left. As soon as they heard they're going to be attacked, they left. The resistance
the defense secretary says 35 of them have been taken out.
Excuse me. The resistance is much greater now because they knew about the attack. All I'm saying is this. We shouldn't have to be fighting for Mosul. We're only fighting for Mosul because Hillary Clinton blew it and gave it back to them. So now we have to take it a second time. Of great importance, why do they have to talk? Why can't they win first and talk later? Why do they have to say 3 months before the attack, we're going in? So you can tell your military expert that I'll sit down and I'll teach him a couple of things. If he tells you that it's okay to announce, ladies and gentlemen, in 3 months we're going into Mosul, why would you say that? Why wouldn't you do a surprise attack? Grab all these ISIS leaders. They all left, George. They all left because they happened to be smart. They heard it's going to be attacked. They left, and they left plenty of tough people behind because it's a tough attack, and you know that, and it's being met with great resistance. I would have done it much differently. I would have said very quietly to my generals, go get them, don't talk. They would have gone, it would have been much easier. They would have probably gotten some people that they won't get now. And then I would have had a conference when it was all finished, and I would have told them what we did. Now, your man on whoever this gentleman is, I guarantee you I can put my narrative before the American people and let whoever this person is put his, and they will agree with me.
On Saturday, you said that you would threaten to sue the 11 women who've accused you of sexual assault.
You know, I hate that you waste time. When we're talking about ISIS and we're talking about jobs and you're still bringing that up, everybody wants to bring it up. Look,
that was just Saturday.
These were false attacks. These things never happened. These people, I don't know these people. These things never ever happened. This was out of the blue. It was made up, probably by the Clinton campaign.
Do you have any evidence of that?
Well, many of the stories have already been debunked. Many of the stories have already been debunked. As
Actually,
you
the
know.
People magazine story, they brought forward 6 witnesses
Why didn't she
to
write the
corroborate
story 12 years ago?
She says she was afraid.
Oh, she was afraid. Give me a break. She was afraid to write it. She would have gotten the Pulitzer Prize. Give me a break. She was afraid. And she had the butler as a witness, right? Who no longer works for me. So she had the butler as a witness, except for one problem.
6 corroborating
Excuse me. There was nobody corroborating. They said years later she talked about it. Look, the butler, she said, was there. One problem. The butler said it never happened. He doesn't work for me. No longer. He's a good man. By the way, he's a good man. But he hasn't worked for me in years. They went to the butler. He said it never happened. Nobody reported
all these
that.
women,
Why didn't
everyone
they
they talked to are lying?
They made up stories. You know why? Fame, or they wanted to help Clinton, or something. They made up stories.
They came out after you denied the behavior.
George, let's not waste any more time. These stories were fabricated. They're total lies.
So you're going to go through with the lawsuit?
We'll find out. Let's see what happens with the election. We're going to find out. But I'm just telling you, these stories are total lies, and you shouldn't be wasting time. And remember this, why didn't you write about the butler? You knew about the butler refuting her story. Why didn't anybody write it? It's a very unfair press.
One of your toughest critics on this is the First Lady, Michelle Obama. She says, your behavior, your words are cruel, they are frightening. This is not how decent people behave. This is not how people who want to be president behave.
Well, what's she going to say? Is she going to say I'm wonderful? Now look, she made the statement about Hillary Clinton. I've heard the statement for years. I had no idea it was Michelle Obama. She made the statement that if you can't take care of your own house, you can't take care of the White House. You know, I've heard that statement for
She said
years,
she was
having to
talking
do
about
with
her
Bill
own
Clinton.
house.
Oh, come on. Look, you know better than that. That was during the campaign. She said about Hillary Clinton, you can't take care of your own house, meaning Bill Clinton, then how can you take care of the White House? It was a vicious statement. It was covered at the time, and it's gone all over the world. I mean, it's a very well-known statement. I would never have used it, other than I saw the other night on television, they went back 8 years and they played that statement. It was her that made the statement.
What do you think about what she's
now,
saying
all of a
about
sudden,
you?
I'm such a bad person. Look, what is she going to say? Is she going to say, I'm fantastic? Is she going to say, I'm going to not let jobs leave our country anymore? We're going to keep our jobs? You have to see what's happening to our country. Our companies are leaving from Mexico and other places, and we're losing our jobs. Is she going to say Trump is better at that than any other human being in the world? Okay, which I believe I am. Okay, I will stop it cold. We have so many things to do that, you know, but now look, she's the First Lady. She's got to say what she's got to say. I mean, I understand that. That's the game.
President Obama says you should stop whining about the system.
I'm not whining about anything. I'm not whining about anything. Here's another one. So 8 years ago, Obama talked about the elections in Chicago, essentially saying how they were rigged, okay? Now it's, oh, nobody would ever rig an election. You have 1,800,000 dead people registered to vote, and some of them vote, which is interesting. You have almost 3 million people that are registered to vote in 2 different states. Now, I'm not making a big deal of it. I think I'm going to win the election. I think I'm going to win. You look at Florida right now, you look at North Carolina, you look at Ohio, you look at Iowa, you look at these places, people are starting to get, I mean, the press is starting to get very concerned. And I see it all over the news this morning. But you look at what's going on in Florida, where the lines are 4 blocks long, and most of those people have red hats on. I'll tell you what, things are going to be a little bit
You do sound pretty
different.
energized today. When you look back over the sweep of this campaign, going back to last June, is there anything you regret?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to have done certain things over, but you can't. You can't. But that's true in life. I'd love to have done in life certain things over, I guess. And you would have too.
Give me one.
You would have loved not to have contributed to the Clinton Foundation, as an example. There are things that you wish you didn't do, okay? You came very close to the edge. You would have loved to have had that decision over again. There are things I would have rather, you know, not happened. But George, all you can do is you put your head down and you have to go forward. But I'm really happy. Look, I started off, you were one of, actually, Jonathan Karl, your person, did just about, in fact, he was badly criticized in this building. He did an interview. I said, I'm seriously thinking about running. And he was criticized because everybody thought I was playing games. But when I ran, it was 17 people. It was actually 18, but it was 17 people. Governors, senators, talented people, people like Ben Carson, who's a phenomenal guy who endorsed me. But there were 17 very talented people, mostly politicians at the highest level. And everybody said, you know what? Trump can't win this. These people have been doing this all their lives. He's got no experience. And then one by one, they disappeared. And one of your competitors said, as they sat around a round table and talked about my entering the race, one of your very smart competitors said, they were all criticizing my going in, said, be careful what you wish for, because he knew me. He knew me. He said to the 4 women and 2 men sitting around a table on a certain network, this one person said, very smart guy, said, be careful what you wish for. And when I went into the campaign, one by one they disappeared. Now, some are, I mean, they signed pledges. Everybody signed a pledge. Some are, you know, they can't get over the loss. They got beaten very badly. They can't get over the loss. It's very dishonorable that they didn't endorse. Very few, 3. But I am really happy with the way it's working.
Let me just bring one specific.
And I think, most importantly, I think we're going, you know, this is a movement like that's never happened in this country. Even you will admit that. Even your friend Bill O'Reilly said it's the most incredible thing he's ever seen in politics. Okay. And it's a lot of it's because of the movement, because of the crowds. There is tremendous spirit out there for change. People want change.
Do you think you should have apologized to the Kahns or Judge Curiel?
I have great respect for the Kahn family. I have great respect for, I mean, the son is a great hero. But if I were president at that time, Captain Kahn would be alive today, George, because I wouldn't have been in Iraq. So if I were president, Captain Kahn's son would be...
You did support it initially.
Support
the invasion.
I never support... Look, let's get it straight. I was opposed to the war in Iraq. I was opposed to the war in Iraq. And for the most part, the honest people agree with it. Right from the beginning, I was opposed. Now, that was way before the war started, and that was the first time I was ever even asked about Iraq, and I gave a very, like, I don't know, who knows.
Right at the beginning.
That was long, that was way before. If you look at just before the war started, I said, don't do it, it's a mistake, you're going to destabilize the Middle East. From the beginning, I was opposed to the war in Iraq. Then they did magazine articles right after the war started. I was opposed to it then, and that was 100%. Had I been president, Captain Kahn would be alive today. We wouldn't have been in this horrible, horrible mistake of the war in Iraq. We made a mistake in going in, and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton made a terrible mistake in the way they took us out, because we created a vacuum. They got out so badly. It was so, I can only use the word stupid. The way they got out of the war in Iraq was so bad. They left the vacuum, ISIS formed. ISIS now, George, is in 32 countries. Remember he said the JV, junior varsity. ISIS now is in 32 countries. And Hillary Clinton, she says she's going to stop them. Why didn't she do it before? Why didn't she do any of the things before? You know, she's been there, George, for 30 years. All of these things happen. Now she says she's going to do this. Why didn't she do them before?
Final question. I heard backstage, Colonel Dolan said that you said Hillary Clinton was a tough and talented lady. She said, if I win, we have to work together. I know you think you're going to win. If she wins, are you prepared to work with her?
I just want to make that decision at a later date. I'm not saying I'm not or I am. I just don't want to tell you today. I want to make that decision at the appropriate time. Hopefully, I won't have to make that decision. I really believe we're going to win. We're going to win Florida. We're going to win Ohio. We're going to win North Carolina. I think we're going to win Pennsylvania. You have to see what's going on in Pennsylvania. The crowds and the people getting ready. I think we're going to win Pennsylvania. I went to school there. I know it very well. I have amazing relationships. You look at the steel workers, the miners, they're all voting for Trump. I mean, she's against those industries. So I think we're going to win Pennsylvania, too. I think you will be very surprised.
We'll see. Mr. Trump, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You said at the beginning, if you run, you'll win. You still feel that?
I feel that. I feel that. I see the connection with the American people and my husband, and he created a movement. And the crowd and the people that are behind him, it's unbelievable to see.
Does it make you want to get out there yourself and help him out the final 2 weeks?
We will see. My priority is my son, Baron, our son, Baron, and I support him 100%, and I'm there for him every time he needs me, and I might join him. We will see.
She's actually going to make 2 or 3 speeches.
Oh.
and I will tell you.
Made some news right there.
No,
Okay.
it is. She's amazing when she speaks. She's an amazing public speaker. So she's agreed to do 2 or 3 speeches, and I think it's going to be big speeches, important speeches.
You mentioned
I think it's going to be great.
You mentioned Barron, and I wonder, we're going to be talking to the other kids in just a minute. How has the experience been for him? He's heard his father say a lot of tough things, heard a lot of tough things said about his father. How does he take it all in?
I teach him, I explain to him so he knows what's going on, and he's taking very well. I keep him balanced and just have him a childhood as normal as possible, and he's enjoying his school and his sports. He's a great athlete, and I just want to have him out of the spotlight for now.
Does he ask you about the news, though?
Yes,
no?
all the time. He asks me about the polls all the time.
That's
And
very cute.
It's like his dad, he follows the
No,
polls.
he's a good poll player. How's he doing in the polls?
He's, of course, he misses his dad a lot at these days, but he's doing great.
And if you could look back over this campaign and say 2 things, what has been the best moment? What's been the worst?
The best moment, the movement that he created and showed the people what he wants to do for the country. And the worst, I would say, dishonest media and unfair media.
You guys talk about this a lot. What is so unfair about the coverage overall?
Well, I can just speak for myself that I don't want to mention a specific act, but so often they'll say, oh, Donald Trump said this or he said that, and what I said wasn't wrong. What I said was fine. If a Democrat had said it, if Hillary had said it, they wouldn't have even thought about it. But I'll say something that's absolutely perfect, George, and the next day it's headlines. Donald Trump said this or that.
That comes with the territory, though, doesn't it?
No. Look, I went to an Ivy League school. I was a good student. I'm a very smart person. I know what I'm saying. Now, there have been some instances, oh, I could have done it a little bit differently, but sometimes I'll say something that's absolutely perfect, and I'll get a call after an interview, like with you. Oh, did you say this or that? And they'll skew it so unfairly.
But people see it for themselves. They make up their own minds.
Well, they don't really, because what happens is you poison the minds. You really do. The media poisons the mind of the American voter. They really do. It's unfair. But the thing is, the American voter is really smart. I mean, I'm going to see how smart they are. But the American voter, I think the American voter is smarter than the media.
It's clear you both feel very, very strongly about this. Clearly, we all know, and you've answered some questions about this since that Access Hollywood tape came out.
I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them.
He apologized to you for that, but you said at the 3rd debate you didn't apologize to her about the women.
The stories are all totally false. I have to say that. And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything.
Was that okay with you?
They were lies. And as I said before, all the accusations, they should be handled in a court of law.
So you believe the lawsuit should go forward?
Yes, I believe that. And because to accuse somebody without evidence, it's very hurtful and it's very damaging and unfair. And but honestly, do we still need to talk about that? I think American people want to hear the problems that we have in America.
She's so right about that? She's so right about that?
They want to hear what we will do to make America better. Let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about secure our border. That's what American people want to hear about it.
I think people
just to finish, I can't apologize for something that I didn't do. Nothing ever took place.
But it's more likely to go away if you don't sue.
We'll see what happens, okay? Let's see what happens on the 8th, November 8th.
Have you thought more about what you'd like to do as First Lady?
I will focus on helping children and women, and also about social media. In this 21st century, what's going on, it's very hurtful to children, to some adults as well, but we need to take care of children.
Hard to keep it away from your kids.
It is, but we need to teach them how to use it, what is right to say, what is not right to say, and because it's very bad out there, and children get hurt.
By
social media, by what's going on, and by negativity.
You give him advice about tweets?
Yes, I do, all the time.
Well, look, it's a modern-day form of communication, Judge. And you know, I have between Facebook and Twitter, I have 25 million people. It's a big asset. You have to use it right, but it's a big asset.
But she'll tell you when you use it wrong.
And she can give me very good advice, believe me. But what she's saying is true, though. I've seen so many people hurt so badly. Not just children. I mean, just people are hurt so badly by new social media. And she feels very strongly about it. She understands it very well.
I'm sure
It's
you've
very
seen this.
dangerous for
The
children.
New York Times was all the people they say you've insulted
Well, that's
on
okay.
Twitter.
That's okay. Most of them deserved it. Were you one of them?
Actually, I wasn't. I was a little
Oh, you should
surprised at
be.
that.
I'm surprised. Let's go check it. I can't believe I didn't include you. No, look, I believe in fighting back. When people are against me, when they tell lies, you know, I have the power of this instrument. And frankly, sometimes I'll use that. And I agree, sometimes it will revert back, or sometimes maybe it doesn't come out. You have to be careful with it.
What do you think about Hillary Clinton, not as a candidate? I know you believe that Mr. Trump will be a better president of the United States. What do you think of her as a person?
I don't know her that well. I think she's out there fighting. I think it's a political machine behind her. She's protected a lot, and they will not say everything what needs to be said.
And finally, you're okay with what happens no matter how the vote goes on November 8th?
Yes, the life goes on, no matter what happens.
But he's going to win?
I think so. We're fighting till the end.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is really a question for everybody, but it's based on something you said when you were a teenager. You said that your father's legacy is your legacy. How has that changed over the course of this campaign?
Well, we're very proud of our father and what he's accomplished. It is amazing. I've been joking for a while that when we started even just this project, we said Trump was coming to Pennsylvania Avenue, and we didn't even know at the time what exactly that meant, or
One way or the other.
how foreshadowing a statement that would be.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination.
We've seen all of you out there all year long. Don, there's a lot of talk about the possibility of you running for office yourself. Has this made it more likely or less likely?
It's a tough process, it's a brutal process, but there is also that element that's just amazing to be able to touch someone that way, and I've seen my father doing that. So I don't know, my only mission is to get him there because I know he can make a difference.
And all three of you, you're not in the family business yet. You're still studying
I
for
just
the...
graduated in May, so.
Yes, are you interested?
Of course I'm interested. I think I'm applying to law school though, so I like to bring a different kind of skill set to the company.
All three of you are senior vice presidents of the Trump Organization. So I want to ask you a question I asked your dad. There have been several stories recently suggesting that your brand has taken a hit over the course of this campaign. How worried are you by that? What are you going to do about it?
So I think we have the hottest brand in the world right now, and I think buildings like this are a testament to what we do every day.
Some of these studies are showing less foot traffic in some of the businesses. There's one, I guess, apartment in New York trying to get the Trump name off the building on Riverside Drive.
So I think the brand is much more than New York City, right? This is a global brand. I mean, when you look at the people that he's touching on a daily basis, the presidency, fixing America, is so much bigger than any of that, regardless.
I think the brand is hotter than it's ever been, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the brand. I care about the country.
Ivanka, you've got your own business on. I wonder what you say to the women who've started this Grab Your Wallet campaign on Twitter to boycott your collection. How does that make you feel? And what do you want to say to those women who are doing it?
Well, the beauty of America is people can do what they like, but I'd prefer to talk to the millions, tens of millions of American women who are inspired by the brand and the message that I've created. My advocacy of women, trying to empower them at all aspects of their life, started long before this presidential campaign did. I've never politicized that message. People who are seeking to politicize it because they may disagree with the politics of my father, there's nothing I can do to change that.
And all of you, you're going to stick with the business even if your dad wins?
We're builders. You know, it's been awesome to be a small cog in the wheel.
Okay, be honest. Which one of you predicted you all would be here today this close to the election?
I don't think any of us got that far ahead of ourselves when he first announced his candidacy. We're not a political family. I think we were attempting to understand real time what that meant in terms of our future and our lives. In retrospect, I don't think any of us would tell you we're surprised. I've never in the past seen him fail, and this is obviously on another level in terms of his commitment to this country and its people.
You're surprised?
Well, I guess, a lot of people are surprised in terms of the press, etc. But I think probably I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think I could win. If I thought I was going to be knocked out 9 people ago, I would have probably said I won't do it. So I can't say I'm surprised. It's really about making America great again. That's what it's about. That's why I'm doing this.